Howdy and hello everyone, and welcome to a new mini-series I'll be hosting on this channel, the Rolling Stock of California. In this series, I'll be looking at various kinds of rolling stock used in my home state of California. In this first episode, we'll be looking at the history and use of the ever-foamy EMD F59PHI locomotive. So, let's get started. The F59PHI's history in SoCal begins in the late 1970s. The state of California began providing funding for Amtrak's Capital Corridor, San Joaquin's, and part of Amtrak's San Diegan service through the California Division of Mass Transportation. At the time, these trains consisted of Amtrak-owned Anfleets and new at the time EMD F40PH locomotives. This was how these services ran up until the 1990s. In the 90s, the state of California formed the California Division of Rail, which on rolling stock went under the name of Amtrak California. And in the year 1990, California Propositions 116 and 108 provided $3 billion for transportation services. Much of this went to rail, which allowed the state to buy brand new rolling stock for their Amtrak services. The state decided on EMD F59PH locomotives, but they didn't like how boxy and non-aerodynamic it was, so the state of California worked with EMD to develop a variant of the F59 with aerodynamic features, which led to the F59PHI locomotive. The EMD F59PHI was developed by EMD, or Electromotive Division. It had a top speed of 110 miles per hour and ran with 3,200 horsepower. The locomotive had a length of 58 feet 7 inches and used an EMD 12710 G3C EC engine. The F59PHI name stood for full width cowl body, 59 series number, passenger gearing, head and power equipped, and an isolated or quiet cab. The Amtrak California F59PHIs were numbered 2001 through 2015 and had a gray body with a navy blue underside, yellow bottom stripe, black roof, and a navy blue cab area. The F59PHIs were paired with the California cars that I will get into in a later video. As the new millennium grew closer, the San Joaquin's and Capital Corridor's sister service, the San Diegan, soon to be renamed to Surfliner, started needing its own rolling stock due to its high demand. Because Surfliner was only partly managed by Caltrans, Amtrak would be the ones to buy this new rolling stock. Amtrak would take the same route as Caltrans and bought the F59PHI locomotives. These were numbered 450 through 465 alongside the new Amtrak Cascades F59s, which were numbered 466 through 470. These wore a similar silver body but now with a fully silver bottom, a blue stripe to match the cars it would be pulling, a black cab area, and white lining around certain details. These locomotives would be paired with Surfliner cars, a rendition of the California cars that once again I will touch on in a later video. With the Surfliner F59s being owned by Amtrak, they could be seen going outside of their branded territory on certain occasions, with them being seen leading long distance trains like the Coast Starlight. In fact, one locomotive, numbered 465, was sent to Amtrak Cascades and got repainted to their scheme and ran up there for the rest of its service life on Amtrak. Around the same time this was happening, two SoCal transit agencies, the SCRRA and NCTD, also purchased F59PHI locomotives to add on to their commuter rail fleet. NCTD got two, numbered 3001 and 3002, to add on to their fleet of 5 F40 locomotives for their commuter rail Coaster, and the SCRRA got 14, numbered 874 through 887, to add on to their F59PH fleet for their commuter rail Metrolink. These commuter rails painted their new units into their respective paint schemes. At this point, it was the 2010s, and it was time for the Amtrak and Caltrans F59s to undergo their midlife refurbs. For Amtrak's F59s, they got new noses, refreshed controls, and fresh new paint. Caltrans got the same thing, only now their F59s got a repower sticker, which denoted them being fitted with 710 Eco engines, leading them to having lower emissions output than previously. The SCRRA and NCTD didn't give their F59PHIs any full refurbs, leading to them, especially in NCTD's case, looking pretty beat up by the end of their service lives. After these midlife refurbs were complete, all the agencies began looking for newer and more environmentally friendly replacements for their aging F59 locomotives. Caltrans was the first to jump on a replacement. They went alongside the Illinois Department of Transportation and went for Siemens' new Charger locomotive. Caltrans would buy 24 of these locomotives, numbered 2101 through 2124, with 10 going to the northern services and the other 14 going to Surfliner. It's also good to mention that at this point, Caltrans had started to take more authority over Surfliner as all these new locomotives are Caltrans owned and funded. After Caltrans, the SERA was the next up to find a replacement for their F59s. Unlike most others, the SERA went back to EMD for their locomotive, which ended up being the F125 locomotive. The SERA bought 40 of these locomotives, numbered 903 through 942. Finally came NCTD, who, like Caltrans, bought Siemens Charger locomotives. These were numbered 5001 through 5009, with a 10th originally being planned early on, but in the end it was rerouted and sent to Washington and ran as WDTX 1408 on Amtrak Cascades. This leads us to the modern day, where in California, not too many F59PHIs are left in operation. NCTD's F59s are collecting mold and rust in their Stewart Mesa yard and can barely run at all. The SERA's F59s have been sent off for use in Mexico. Surfliners went off alongside Cascades for use on Chicago's Metro commuter rail, and the CDTX F59s, despite being the oldest, are the only ones to remain in operation, with a few being sidelined already. Needless to say, the F59PHIs had a good run in California, but like any locomotive, their time is up and the replacement has come. The only reason why these CDTX F59s haven't gone yet is because Caltrans doesn't have enough chargers to replace them, and with Caltrans recently blacklisting Siemens, it appears their F59s will stick around for a bit longer. But with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the Rolling Stock of California. Stay tuned for next episode where I will cover the Surfliner and California cars. But without much left to say, I was 5008 Creations, you are the viewer, and I'll see you in the future. Goodbye.